All right, we're doing a little break-and free speech podcast here. I'm with Rob from GROC, which we'll talk about that. And we're going to talk about the trail user study, which is being run by Monroe County, and this whole interactive map. The goal of this podcast is to help people understand this interactive map and how they can put input in, because this is going to be kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to really potentially dramatically change all the trail networks that we have in Rochester. And this overlaps pretty strongly with the skate park people. And hopefully, GROC can share this and help some of their people better understand this map. Because I was actually a little confused trying to use it at first. So just to get this started, Rob, why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are and your relationship to GROC?
Awesome. Dave, thanks for having me. Rob Sliker. I've been with GROC for the past 4 years. Been working with Scott McKay, our stewardship leader, and the rest of the GROC board around really advocating for more shared use trail access for beginners, people with disabilities that might need an adaptive bike, right? And where can they go recreate and get access to green space while preserving these green spaces that mean a lot to us. And this whole study came about, from us and other user groups advocating that, these trails and these green spaces are important to us. Maybe they could be better. Maybe they could be more inclusive and bring more beginners to the table and to the parks, and maybe some facilities to help support our youth, right? Like we have, I think, a few NICA teams now. So you have high school kids racing on bikes and leaving the county to go train and build themselves up. So it's an exciting time. And like you said, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for us to provide input for what could potentially evolve out of this.
And you mentioned NICA. What exactly is NICA?
Man, National Interscholastic Cycling Association.
Because I know I have some customers, some kids I've known riding and scootering for years that now do NICA, and they don't come to the skate park as much because they're training for mountain biking.
Yeah, they're riding.
That's pretty cool. So you're the president of GROC, right? So what exactly is GROC?
Yeah, so GROC is a 501c nonprofit, 100% volunteer driven. So what's it mean to be a 501c? If we sell merch, we pay taxes on it. We're a legit entity. We have an EIN number. We are 100% volunteer driven, but our goal is to get people more access to green spaces and get more mountain biking experiences, off-road cycling experiences. But also we believe that shared use trails, and when we all work together, we ultimately get what we're all looking for. Which is why we kind of coined it Monroe County Trails for All, our overall advocacy motion.
What's GROC's footprint as far as geographically speaking?
Yeah, so Genesee Regional Off-Road Cyclist, the greater Genesee region. So I think of Monroe County proper and then the surrounding counties around it. So obviously we've been helping and assisting with the new Hickory Ridge project, Dryer Road. We've done work at STID. Brian Vogel doing great work down there. Dryer Road, everyone knows Dryer Road in Ontario County. But then most importantly, I think where the largest concentration of our community members, followers live is Monroe County proper. So really Bay Park, West, and Tryon Park.
And GROC is part of IMBA, right? That's International Mountain Bike Association.
Yeah, so
that's pretty legit, right?
Yeah, so we're a chapter of the International Mountain Biking Association. So when you join GROC and support our organization, IMBA handles our membership, takes a small fee, passes the dollars to us, and then enables us to operate as a local entity to pursue, again, more protected mountain biking and shared use trails experiences.
And GROC is a member-driven organization. You mentioned members. Yeah. How many members do you have, and how many users do you estimate use the trails? And how many? I know you're gonna get it's a rough estimate. But how many of the mountain bike users are IMBA/GROC members? Give me a rough idea of what's going on with the ridership in the area.
Yeah, so we have about 300 members that are annually paying supporters of us. If I had to guesstimate how many riders that are out there, we had 953 survey responses from our spring survey that we did. We put on that survey to understand our community. We had about 953 riders represented across 357 survey responses. So there are more survey responses than members. Roughly 1,300 followers, I think, on Instagram. Yeah. I would say there's probably 1,000 or 2 riders out there and then 300 really passionate people that are supporting our organization. And the $1 million question is why pay for the milk when you can have it for free?
Yeah,
So,
right. Well, a lot of riders will use the app Strava to ride there, but I'm sure there's some idea that maybe half of every rider is actually using it. Do you have access to like local user data to give an idea of just how many riders are using the trails in our area?
we don't have trail counters, but I think as part of this study, overall,
There will be, right?
it would be great,
Okay.
to have those, to understand how many people are going in and out of those parks.
All right. Well, that's a good transition right into the study.
Yeah.
So, my rough understanding is through whatever processes of talking to this politician and that, and the right gears have clicked, and now Monroe County is doing this as the thing says here on the sheet on the page, Irondequoit Bay Park System Trail User Interactive Map, which is part of the study. So, if we can pretty quickly, how did we get to this point to even get to this study, and why is this study so important? I think it's going to be key to outline what limited access bikes have right now. And then we'll go into exactly how this map works and how people can use it.
Yeah, great. So when I think about access, only 2 of 23 Monroe County parks allow, off-road cycling in their parks. Those users that are beginners, experts, folks with maybe a disability that have adaptive needs for an adaptive bike, you're gonna find a higher barrier to entry coming into our sport, right? It's like good luck going as a beginner buying a new bike at a bike store and going to Tryon. Bay Park, Tryon's gonna be a little bit more intimidating, but even a Bay Park West with the exposure and it's gonna be definitely feel more punchy to a beginner. Mm-hmm. So I think like this all started. Scott McKay and I have been advocating through the first Bellow administration. Really, the first year was about, hey, let's do an IMBA grant similar to what the Nature Conservancy took advantage of for Hickory Ridge. Like professional planning and design yields, really great trail systems. Like show me a professional plan, design, and construct a trail system that's bad. Like I don't know if there is one. So that was, the avenue we're pursuing. Year 4, we're like, all right, the first year they were like, this isn't a strategic initiative of ours. We don't have the bandwidth. Year 4, like, hey, let's do a trails day. Bring in, shout out to Adam from Further Trail Services. Wanted to put on a trails day with GROC and other stakeholders, like other land managers. And it didn't make the cut. They didn't have the bandwidth. And it was a gut punch. So 4 years of, no. Prior to that, I could talk about many years prior to that. Then finally, I think they realized through the active transportation plan, there was a lot of feedback in the active transportation plan regarding trails in our parks. And they've also heard that from us and other user groups. And finally, they said, we're going to hire EDR to come in and do a trail study at the highest level. This is a concept plan. We're not talking about where trails are going to go through this study. It's just this study is all about gathering information. It's sucking as much information from the trailheads, from people online, wherever. It gives much information about how people use these green spaces, and then start. The next one would be probably more of a trails master plan, really getting trail alignments based on the input of what the community is doing today and what we're going to talk about today.
And you mentioned EDR. What is EDR?
They're the engineering firm that Monroe County hired. EDR, funny enough, did the original Ellison Parks master plan for Monroe County back in 2009, 2010 that got us the original access to Tryon and West Bay through the pilot program. They also did the follow-up program or the follow-up study that talked about the success of the shared use trails pilot, which was deemed successful, which is cool. They also, EDR also did the active transportation plan most recently with, you probably see a lot of that through like Reconnect Rochester and the work, the great work that they're doing. So then they hired EDR to come through and do this. All right.
And like you mentioned like some, master plans. Yeah. It seems like all these towns have these like, transportation study and these master plans and all this stuff. And like, it's just like, let's hope no one ever sees this stuff or like it's all out there. Right. And you like compiled all this information, all these different towns, like, oh, maybe we connect these trails. Maybe we can, it's like, and then it seems like that was a little bit of a linchpin to get this ball rolling. You think that's a fair assumption? And you've been pretty passionate about this.
Shout out to Scott McKay. He's kind of the wizard behind the curtain. really stoking the fire over the years with me. Great friend. He's our stewardship leader. But he's the one that's gotten into the weeds in a lot of this. And like a lot of these master plans point to exactly what we're talking about, getting people more access to green space, getting beginners, people with a disability, whatever it might be, into these green spaces and utilizing them, while the most important thing I think is conservation, right? Like when you go through planning, design, and professional construction, you have the ability to preserve these green spaces on levels like no other, right? Like instead of, fall line trails are some of my favorite, but like they're not the best for beginners. And, a professionally built, sustainably built trail is great for an adaptive biker, a beginner.
Yeah.
Even myself, I just need a chill ride on some easy flow trails here and there.
All right, well, let's jump in on this map.
Yeah.
But I want to look at a little bit, but when we're done, I want to give my input, and I want you to give your input.
So two things. First, Survey Monkey. People can do that. That's easy, right?
Yeah.
Survey Monkey is easy. We don't even need to talk about that.
Part of why I wanted to do this is I looked at this map and I was like, this is like not the most user friendly thing. And as I played with it, it's gotten a little more understanding. So I wanted to go through this. So I want to go through some of these examples and talk about them. So then other people can go on this and look at things and then
their
they
voice
understand
be heard,
how to put their
right?
input. Because again, this is, like I said, this is a really rare instance where any person can go onto this Irondequoit Bay Park System Trail User interactive map and put in whatever input they so choose, right? Anyone can do this.
Yep.
So before we do this, I want to say, I want to kind of get an idea of an example of what things would outline like good input and bad input. And that's not like on your opinion. It specifically is like the tone of what you're saying. Like for example, I would say good input is like, hey, if we connected this to this, then it opens up. That would be fairly good. Now, I'm sure there's people who are putting in, bad input.
Yeah.
Like what would something that would be like bad input be like?
And
It's like some finger
nothing.
Wagging,
Even nothing. I clicked a couple of them. I saw the spot, but there's no information.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe it was a mistake. I think, there's a lot of misinformation being floated out there. A lot of passion and strong opinions. Facts are our friends.
Yeah.
So I think being really factual is important through this. But also, your opinion does matter. So if you feel strongly that bikes shouldn't be allowed on any of these trails, then you should make that voice. Which, by the way, that's in here.
Yeah, bikes shouldn't be allowed anywhere. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, okay.
Bikes cause erosion. We know that's misinformation. That's not true.
Yeah.
So, what I would say is bad is actually not doing anything.
Yeah.
Just sitting there and not putting input in here. That's bad because you have this once in a lifetime opportunity to shape the parks around the Irondequoit Bay in a positive way that means a lot to our community and a lot of people.
Yeah, I think generally just like I read some of these and some of them have like a negative tone to them. And it's like you can speak in negatives, but sometimes the tone just comes off like almost like spiteful, you know, and it'd be like, oh, I think it would be better if, but I don't know. I'll digress from that. So we're gonna kind of go over the basics of the map here. So here's your interactive map. If you go over, there's all kinds of stuff here.
There's really 4 categories. I think we should call on the side for everybody.
Yeah. So we have add trail amenity.
Yep.
There's been 63 inputs.
That could be like a pump track, a picnic table,
anything that doesn't
a fire pit, a camping spot.
Add trail extension, 53 inputs, and that would be
a point to point. So hey, it would be great to have connectivity from Ellison Park into Tryon into Lucian. But
actually, good point you mentioned Lucian. We should probably give a rough outline of just the parks around the bay. Yeah. So starting in the northwest corner, you have Irondequoit Bay Park West.
Yep.
Going south from there, you have Tryon on the west side of like the marshy parts of the southern of the bay. You have Ellison at the bottom. Then going, as you're coming around counterclockwise, you have Lucian Morin, which is across from Tryon, kind of almost like a mirror to each other. And then up the hill from Empire, you have Abraham Lincoln, which when I first moved here, I remember people called it Bay Park East, but they call it Abraham Lincoln. So just so we have context of what parks are even involved in this whole conversation. Okay.
That's where I think the trail extensions get exciting, right? Create more
connectivity, right? Yeah. So then back to the parts of the map, you have favorite trail amenity or segment. A lot less input on that, only 10 10 notes.
For which one? Favorite trail, right?
And then the last one is areas of concern, 40 points of interest. So, and I see, I'm looking at the map, there's little like amenities, like little benches and a green flag, and there's like green circles and red areas. So like,
do you think we should just go through and maybe do one of each real quick for everybody?
When we start at the top, we go add trail amenity.
What's a trail amenity, Dave, that you wish that we had, or like thinking? Personally, by the way, there's no dollars, no ideas too crazy. Like, this is where we need to think big and go big.
I would think, as far as trail amenities goes, I wouldn't be that concerned about them, because I think our bigger issue is connectivity. So I would be like, yeah, it'd be cool if some of the amenities and the trails would be nicer. I'm sure the female riders would love bathrooms. That's probably a huge one. You hear that across all disciplines.
Yep.
You know, as a guy, you could just, do what you got to do when you got to do it. For women, that's harder. Having, a couple bathrooms around the parks would probably be huge for women. So I would probably put that up on my list. But aside from that.
So go drop it in right there. Add to map. Click that.
Oh, hold on. Add trail amenity.
Yep. Go down to the bottom there and hit add to map over on the left.
Add to map. Yep. Okay. On the bottom.
And you're going to see a little crosshair pop up. And
okay.
Wherever you
let's zoom in.
Zoom in.
Let's say maybe where's the purple parking lot right here on, right?
Yep. It's going to be right down in that area.
Comments. Say public bathroom, or maybe trail user bathroom might be fair.
Yep.
Trail user bathroom, and maybe / changing room. That'd be big too. Some people get there and you want to change, right?
I know that's not in scope for this trail study, but I mean, you have people using the bay from like a water sports perspective, boats, kayaks. It'd be great for them to be able to have a space to.
So I just submitted that. So that's a trail amenity. 64.
64, just like that. All right. How about an extension? Where do you like?
Wait, I would look at one more trail amenity. Let's just like pick a random one and see.
Oh boy! See. Oh, by the way, Dave, as you do that,
I see they're highlighting all over. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, here's another one in the same parking lot that I did. So let's see what someone else said for a trail amenity in that same parking lot at Bay Park West. Signage educating all users, hikers, bikers, dog walkers, to stay off trails when they are muddy. Significant damage is done then. No need to point the finger at any one particular category. So just signage.
Signage, and that everybody can cause damage is what I hear.
I agree with that.
Yep.
I think when you go to Whiting Road Park, the signage is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that helps with access because people are less intimidated because every intersection is a sign. So I agree with that. And that's it's a very simple fix.
Yep.
Although I feel like that's probably something GROC could tackle on their own, putting up some signage, but cool.
Yeah. I think there's also a desire of the land manager to want to actually incorporate that much signage. And I think right now, if I'm being frank and being real with everybody, I think there's a less desire to have it that much signage. But what I don't think that maybe the county understands or other stakeholders understand is there's been an influx of users, even since COVID, they're coming to these parks that don't know the trails. So we need to manage to the lower common denominator, the more newer user to come in and support their experience.
I want to click on this one right here. It's actually, it looks like it's on the end of Tryon. Is it Tryon Boulevard?
Tryon Road.
I'm guessing maybe that's like some signage to say, hey, the park is down here.
Interesting. Click it. What does it say? I haven't even looked at this one.
Adding bump outs and other elements to reduce vehicle speed on Whitten and improve crossing safety in neighborhoods to reach Tryon.
That's right
fair.
Up Reconnect Rochester's
mission, it's probably more their purview than this trail study, but that's good input.
That's good feedback. And part of the reason why we're here today is the input that went into the active transportation plan. So there's definitely overlap. All
right, let's move on to the next category, which would be going back. We're back to the original
extension.
Trail extension, 53 input. So let's do that. Let's zoom out the map a little bit. And same thing, things highlight all over.
Yeah.
What's this? All the way at the north tip of
I think I know that one. I think I know the person that put that one in. Oh, yeah. I might know him pretty well.
Expand Irondequoit Bay Park trails into this New York State-owned Monroe County managed land parks. Please renew management contract. So whoever put this in clearly knows what's going on. I have a feeling this is Scott
McKay.
Because there are people out there that know the deal. And as a rider, utilizing what little trails we have, you see like a big chunk of land right next to the park's not being used. You're like,
we could have a trail in there, right?
Yeah. But I think for me, the trail extensions is like the biggest piece because that's the connectivity,
So if you could only put one trail extension, Dave, I know there's many.
Right, it's right here.
Which one? You're really passionate about that one.
I am all about this one. This is an easement. See, I've done my research too.
Oh, man.
This is the easement that runs from Empire to Bay Park West that connects with Front Bay Street. Is that what it is? It was the old Sodus Bay Railroad.
Yep.
If we could just get into Bay Park West without going into this neighborhood would be incredible. But also that has to be relative to like coming out of maybe Tryon somewhere lower.
Yeah.
Because right now, since we're on the map, you come out of Tryon up in this neighborhood here, and you have to go all the way to the intersection, cross the intersection to go all the way through this neighborhood. Presuming there was a way to get out of Tryon Park and stay low, get to Empire, and presuming there was a safe way to cross Empire, because Empire is a big issue, this would be incredible. It would be huge. And then Lucian is right there. But again...
So how come no one's connected from that trail that you're talking about on the north side of Empire all the way into Tryon? And I know there's maybe a private property there. I don't know. I'd have to... I don't see the layer for... There's not a layer for property owners, but you know what?
I was going to put that in.
Put it in there.
I'm drafting an email to send along with this. Oh, here's one right here. There we go. That highlights along there.
That's perfect.
Let's see. MTB trail connecting Tryon and Bay Park West, avoiding roads and staying in the woods. Yeah, similar idea. The big problem there is Empire. For me, we've talked about this. The elephant in the room is Empire. Empire, it's 2 lanes both ways. People are going like 60 miles an hour. No matter how you cross it, it's going to be dangerous. Even if you're trying to get from Tryon to Aleutian Morin, where you're not allowed to ride, but some people do.
Even when we advocated
scary.
for the connector, that wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
Going lower.
I mean, even we were literally at K2 earlier. Turning left out of that place is crazy because it's kind of blind. People are going really fast.
So many cars.
Like, really, I saw some notes on here when I was poking around. People reduce speed on Empire. I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
I think protected bike lane on Empire would be a phenomenal idea.
Yep.
But
so let's drop it in that connection extension once you hit back.
All right.
In the upper
Yeah,
left.
let's add that in right now. So add to map.
Yep. And you're going to go click.
So what do we want
Click
to do?
A to click B, like A to B. Wherever you want to drop your first
I want to go
pin.
from Winton. Can I do multiple clicks and like follow the line, or like let's see what happens?
I don't. Oh,
I
you
can.
can do multiple clicks. I didn't try that. Of course you did.
Cool. All right. Oh, how do I stop it? Double click. Double click. All right. So I've
Double click it. That was a 1 click. There you go.
I'm gonna say.
And now you can actually move it up or down, size it too.
Oh, that's great.
So once you click that, like you can adjust it. Yep. Maybe
Oh,
move
wow.
it up.
It is very interactive. More interactive than I thought. Yeah.
Extend it out.
So I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just say Empire is very unsafe for cyclists. Reduce speed and protected bike lane. Bike lane to connect parks. Cool. As simple as that, right? And then I hit submit, and now we're on the map. Great.
Hit submit. Let's go back. How many do we got for extensions now? 54.
Pretty good.
Cool.
Favorite trail amenity or segment. That's pretty straightforward.
It's funny, right? Like, I think human nature, everyone's wanting to gravitate towards what they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah.
right? But like, what's the one thing, Dave, that you love about these green spaces that could be replicated, maybe? Or, it's really important to you?
I think what's important changes based on the rider and also changes based on how much time you spend riding. Like for me, because we have such a limited trail, I'm looking for diverse trails, right? I've seen it all. Bay Park West, if you ride everything in Bay Park West is 6 miles. And I've probably ridden like 2,500 miles in that freaking place. So I've seen it all. So like, I like when it's like, oh, this one's a flow trail. This one's a little more rustic. Just having more is probably better for me as someone but not everyone has as much mileage as I do.
We're not worthy.
Yeah. Thinking for everyone, I think what we need is more like entry-level beginner trails. Yeah. Like Bay Park West, anywhere you start, you're pedaling up a hill. And if you're getting new into mountain biking, I mean, you go up one of those hills and you're smoked immediately. Like most people are not in good shape, and that's unfortunate. And but they got to start somewhere.
Yep.
So I think, speaking for the community, I think we need entry-level beginner trails. Like you're on dirt, hills aren't too bad, terrain isn't too rough.
You're talking about an amenity or something you want, but this is going to be more about your favorite trail.
So for what's my favorite?
Yeah.
My favorite for the longest time was Orange at Bay Park West. Was Orange Crush on Strava, just like the whoop-de-doos around that one thing.
You could drop a pin and say, this is the best thing we have for beginners. They deserve better, right? Or you could whatever you feel that's passionate. What I'm hearing is entry level for beginners.
This seems like they're just trying to collect data to know, what do people like?
Yeah.
I'm not so crazy about this because I know from within the skate park world, they do a similar thing. But then what ends up happening, because there's only 10 responses, those 10 responses get a disproportionate say in what they build, which is
why we need to be
which
here talking
could go
about
either
this
way.
and doing
Yeah.
this.
So to me, this section's like, I think it's like a grain of salt stuff, really.
Yep. But this is a spot for anyone to say what they like, and there's only how many?
10.
10.
So I mean, yeah. So the last one is area of concern.
Yeah.
Which is
This one
a
gets
pretty
fun.
broad statement. So we can highlight down. Look at this one. What is that?
I know who put that one in too.
Yeah. Let's see what that's a big area someone highlighted. Let's see what that says.
I know exactly who that was.
The watershed that feeds this creek bed causes dramatic changes in water flow rates and causes more erosion in one event than any trail could ever do. So this is more like, hey, town, like we have
Sorry to put Scott Mackay on blast again, but
drainage issue here.
when we think about the water coming through in a rain event, there's been so many parking lots up in that area built and like in Irondequoit that when the water comes down through that creek now, it is coming in hot. They need some holding pools like way up by actually.
That just will just slow the rate of everything that's happening.
Yeah, and that would slow it down, allow it to hold the water up there before it discharges down into the creek.
Or look at this one. It's basically all of Ellison Park highlighted here.
Uh-oh. I haven't seen this one.
Trails should be shared use. Bikes should not be excluded. I pay plenty of taxes like any other user. Fair?
Good and bad, right? Like, bad, if I'm going to be critical of it, maybe on a negative, but like at the same time, we all pay taxes and...
Yeah, I feel like if I'm reading this, I go, you pay taxes. Cool, dude. Whatever. I think there's a lot to be, especially up in this area along Browncroft. There's definitely
a nice side slope up there.
And the people who don't want bikes on trails, I feel like you could cut in trails in places and a lot of people would never even know they even existed.
And the hikers and the runners would still be able to access them and use them. And absolutely, Dave. But what's your area of concern? Like, what's the biggest? I almost feel like what we just proposed and talked about was one of your largest concerns. Was crossing Empire. Yeah.
But maybe, that was definitely a huge area of concern for me.
But there's input on that. Like, what other areas of concern would you have? Maybe. Well, how about you've hiked Lucian Morin?
Yeah, I go in there a lot.
Right?
Yeah. There's so many. The
trails in there could be better.
Lucian's rough, right?
It's rough.
Like
from an environmental perspective, the trails are like.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. There's a bunch of anti-bike activists, and their whole argument is about erosion, and that bikes are going to cause erosion. Now, if you were to go and hike through Lucian Morin, those trails are suffering from severe erosion. In some places, the trail's like 6 inches wide. It is like, if you're trail running... I don't
consider that. That's a footpath, Dave.
It's rough.
It's rough.
Like, if you like running in there is super dangerous because the footpath is so narrow. There's places where it erodes away, and there's a big tree down in that one section that's been like that for like a year, and like basically it seems like no one really touches them. It seems like they're the same Indian trails from like 1810, right? I feel like the people that are concerned about it only walk the very basic trails in like Ellison, and they don't even get that deep in there. I mean, you'd have to be pretty something to go through Bay Park West and go through Lucian Morin and think that there's like way more erosion in Bay Park West. Those trails, like you could almost like, I do a little trail running, and that ranges from like, I need to be hyper focused on every place I plant my foot because I don't want to break my ankle, to like, this is pretty chill.
Yeah.
When you trail run at Bay Park West, like, man, it's a hard packed dirt, very few rocks or roots. Everything, the camber stays about the same. It's like super safe to trail run. You go trail run in Abraham Lincoln off
Very
any trail
similar.
off of White Trail in Abraham Lincoln or in Lucian Morin. Like you got to be like on each foot pedal, foot strike to not like, end up tumbling down the trail into the bay.
So what's your biggest concern? gotta put it on there, man. I know I'm asking you, but like it's tough. I'm
going to add to the map.
Later,
Biggest concern,
Dave. Ooh. Where are you going with this one?
I'm going to highlight the whole
Double click.
damn area.
Wow.
And I'm going to say connectivity. Because my thing is, I think about it this way. Like, if I park my car, say I drove to the trails, how many miles of trail can I ride before I run out of trail or have to start doubling up on trail, right? The way it is now, it's like 4.5 miles, maybe. Or you can connect Bay and Tryon, but then you
12
gotta
to 15, depending on how
you
you
gotta
look at it.
get
right?
out,
Like,
go into neighborhood,
maybe,
cross Empire, right?
Yep.
So then also, if we could connect Tryon, Bay Park West, and Ellison and Lucian Morin, I could now park my car and ride 20 miles of trail.
Or hike it, or run it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
and
mom
not
and the
double
daughter
up.
are hiking, and
Or what
dad
about
and the
for
son are
the
riding.
trail running community?
Yeah.
Imagine they had enough trail with very little doubling up to stay in the woods, maybe a little bike path on Empire, run a trail marathon, 26 miles in the woods.
there's probably definitely enough green space for that, right? I would think when you factor in maybe there's going to be a little bit of road mileage in there, right? Like we know that. All right. That's a good one, Dave.
I think it's our biggest hurdle. I think Rochester can go from right now having, I would say maybe 4 miles of trail from where I park my car to like 20 miles of trail from where I park my car.
Sure.
And that's a difference from being like having low trail per capita to being a destination. Mm-hmm. I think Irondequoit Bay here could be a location for the whole Northeast to be like, dude, we're going to get an Airbnb on the bay. We got like 30 miles of trail. There's 6 breweries. And then if with the Reconnect Rochester, people had like a bike lane to get up Winton to Culver into this, and they already have the bike lane on Main. If the bike lane on Main extended to Winton, and you can get from Winton to Tryon Boulevard or Tryon Street. Oh my God, I feel like we're like this close to being like a cycling destination, and that's why it's so important for people to go on this interactive map and put their insights in. If you go to the GROC Instagram page here, which I have up on the screen, you go to their link tree. You got the Irondequoit Bay Park System Trail User Survey, Irondequoit Bay Park System Interactive Map. These things are right here. Fill out the survey, keep it positive, click on the interactive map. This is a short period of time we have to do this, right?
Yeah, they said, I think when we were there that Monday kickoff at the lodge, I think they said a month. I'm going to reach out and ask for clarification next week, but I think we got to get the input in like in the next 2 weeks to wrap up by the end of the month. We should all have that as our timetable. And if they extend it, that's great. We get more people, but this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Anytime you do any trail work, you ride past that one berm and you're like, dude,
yeah,
I made that berm, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that same feeling where like you legally leave Tryon, connect over, and you turning the corner past the trailhead right into Lucian Morin. You're like, dude, I'm riding in Lucian Morin right now because I did the survey. Now I have access to 30% more trail than I had last year because I did it, right?
Yep.
We can if we get into Lucian, I say we're going to increase our trail by at least 30%. If we got into Ellison, we'd increase our trail by maybe close to 50%, right? And if we got into Abraham Lincoln Park, we could increase our overall trail by like over 100%. Like it's so close.
And then going back to what you said you love, which is diversity of trails.
Yes.
So now you got stuff for beginners. Beginners can go out and have a great experience, which by the way, there are no beginner trails in Monroe County parks.
Whiting's not beginner?
I wouldn't even consider it beginner. It's easier for beginners. It's not a Monroe County park. It's a town of Webster Park.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, there's sections where you're taking a beginner and there's an off camber with like a bunch of whole routes. Like that's not necessarily, I would say, a beginner level trail, right? But easier. So yeah, it gets more people access.
All right. Before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Before I give you a shot to do some shout outs and some info.
Yeah.
I want you to give me briefly your dream vision. Say the study goes perfect. Say everything goes your way. Say it's 5 years down the road or even 10 years down the road. What is the what is Rob Sliker, the current president of GROC's dream vision of the Irondequoit Bay Park system? Like, what does it look like to you?
I think we all know that shared use trails work. I think we've shown that we can work collectively as a community. Like, I think it was 60 or 70% of our survey respondents in 2023 hike and run these trails. My vision would be that whether you're a beginner or an expert, you can come here and have an experience that meets your needs. My vision would be to get more people into these green spaces, especially the beginners. Like COVID, the people shout out to the people that bought mountain bikes during COVID and started mountain biking. You had a cliff to get up and get into, and if you're still here, awesome. But there's a lot of people that aren't here. There's a lot of people that probably got intimidated. So a place for beginners to build their skills, a bike park and skills area in Ellison, a Velo Solutions pump track there where we can then go out, play and practice and go out into a massive trail network with hikers and runners, experiencing these green spaces collectively together. Maybe you're an expert wanting to hit a slope style course, and we can cater to those experiences too, because those skills and that type of riding exists here in Rochester, and those types of riders, I believe, deserve a space to go recreate and have those types of experiences as well. So more people getting out there, because what's the worst that happens if we build trails correct? Like, if you look at all trail user conflict and all issues regarding like the environment and sustainability, it all comes back to either good or bad planning and design, and then execution of building trails, right? So if we do this right and we have proper planning and design, the community will get, I might not get everything I want, but collectively we all get what we all need and want. So that's the vision. Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm very passionate about people being active. I say, like, I refer to Breaking Free skate park as like a wheel friendly, personally, I don't care what it is. Like, it's a matter of like that, like freedom of expression, the wind in your hair, like for kids to get that like exploratory experience, to kind of like mitigate the risk, to calculate the risk, to think about what's going to happen. That stuff is so important. And I definitely see that mountain biking right now is a huge hurdle for, like you said, beginner trails. And like, it sounds like your vision involves a lot happening down in Ellison with like a pump track, and making that, sounds like you want like that to be kind of a bit of a hub for the whole area.
I gave that was some of the input that I gave, because I think when you think about facilities and parking and restrooms and, being so central to all the other parks, and it was the very first Monroe County park.
True. 1920. Thanks to
1926.
What's his name? It was named Stephen Lusk. Stephen Lusk owned that property and gave it to the county or whatever. Yeah. It would be challenging to put in bathrooms or amenities of a significant size at Tryon or Bay Park West because of the topography and how small it is. But in Ellison, down in the flats there on Blossom, like, there's absolutely the space to do that, albeit like every once in a while you get a pretty significant flooding down there, but asphalt pump track, that's going to be fine with floods. So, and even like down in the map, we can zoom in a bit. Tryon already comes out here, and Ellison already has a trail that connects here. Like, these three parks already connect here with unofficial trails that I use and everyone uses. Yeah. Just as simple as making these trails legitimate, or possibly even adding a parking lot in this area right here. Right,
at the bottom of Browncroft.
The bottom of Browncroft next to this creek, there's a little like gate there. And like, there's
the American flag.
I don't know who owns. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know who owns any of this, but like, man, a trailhead right there, a couple parking spots. Like, all of a sudden, you have a game changer.
Monroe
right?
County. Yep.
That's Monroe County. Yeah. So hopefully, from this study, those are the things that sets the ball in motion. I've been a part of this stuff with the skate park at the Rock City board I'm on. Where like,
are there any parallels that you're seeing or differences?
There are parallels in the whole like linchpin of it all. Like, nothing's happening, and then the right person messages the right person, and all of a sudden someone's like, wait, what is this? We should get a study going. And all of a sudden now things are moving. With the outdoor skate park, it was like a decade of like virtually nothing happening, and then like the right person made a couple phone calls, got in someone's ear. The mayor's like, wait, what? And then it's like, you've been leaving this on your table? Okay. And then all of a sudden, boom, 2 years later, we finally have the park. Yeah. So like, a lot of it's politics and the bureaucracy, but I mean, this seems like a huge step forward in actually getting somewhere. So
Yeah, I think it's great that Monroe County is taking the step forward to recognize that not just off-road cycling, right? Like hikers and runners and birders and people that use these trail systems, like they all deserve a voice. Like, and as crazy as it sounds, Dave, like even the opposition, the people that are uneducated, that don't understand what we're trying to do, that are anti-bikes, like I still believe they have a voice. That voice actually matters.
Yeah.
And it'll trusting the process. But here's the thing. The last election that we had, do you know what the percentage of voter turnout in Monroe County was?
Oh, I had to bet it was so low. It was probably like 21%.
It was 50%.
Okay.
I think it was 50%.
I guess I'm a pessimist.
But think about that. Like only half the people came out to vote. And if only half the people come out to give their input, then that's what we're going to be left with. So that's why I think it's so important that people provide input on the SurveyMonkey, but also the map. The map's critical.
Well, that's why I wanted to do this. Cause like I said, it was confusing for me and I wanted to, people to understand this so they could put their input. So like this goes somewhere. I just want to hit with like the clickbait catch-all hot term of the last, half a decade. It's inclusivity, right? Everyone wants to be inclusive until all of a sudden it's like
in their face.
A little bit of an inconvenience, right? It's like, listen, if you're about inclusion, it's not your version of inclusion, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to be inclusive to, all whatever, genders, races, able or disabled people, then you also have to be inclusive to cyclists, walkers, hikers. Like you can't just like be like, oh, everyone's welcome, but not you. Like it just seems so like these people don't think from first principles. They're just like, oh yeah, like these not in my backyard people.
Yeah.
Like we want to, if you truly want diversity and you truly want inclusivity, then you should want trails to be open up to the widest diverse group of people. And obviously there's a cost of entry for trails, but that's only for bikes. For walking, it's literally free. Let's give us more. Let's give everybody more trails, right?
Yeah. Even 100%.
Trails for all.
Trails
are infrastructure.
Monroe County Trails for all.
Cool. So to wrap this up, you got any shout outs, any places people need to follow you and GROC and whatnot? Let the people know.
Yeah. My GROC on Instagram.
At my GROC.
Yep. At my GROC. Absolutely follow GROC for the latest and greatest. As we get more information on this, we'll continue to put it out there. Shout out to Scott McKay, our stewardship leader, who's been the wizard behind the curtain, really passionate guy that can't be here today to do this, but that's very educated on a lot of the master plans that have happened. And to be honest, the fire that I get, he's kind of been stoking that fire.
Yeah.
And again, you said something that kind of resonated with me. I get everything I need. I can go out and ride and get what I need, but I think I'm here and doing this with you and doing this because there's people that can't. And that's kind of the fire that I have, is to get these people access. Shout out to Adam Wrights, Further Trail Services, previous vice president of GROC, worked for Imba Trail Solutions, has worked on some of the most prolific trail projects across our country, current builder of Hickory Ridge. I think he's been on the forefront in our region, even in the scene. And he's really helped people like myself and our board level up and what it really means to think about professional planning and design in that process. And lastly, not lastly, but our overall board, it's a volunteer board. So shout out to our entire board and volunteers who make GROC happen. And like, an organization is only as good as its people. So shout out to everyone that's ever slung a shovel or come to a board meeting or a committee meeting. Y'all are the ones that make it happen, and also our members. Thank you.
That's a good plug right there. If you are out there and you mountain bike or you want to mountain bike or you hike or whatever, and you want to be involved, reach out to GROC on any of these platforms. You're looking for, stewardship leaders in the parks, and you're looking for volunteers, you're looking for board. I know Anytime. One of our community engagement committee chair just stepped down. So like, we're looking for people. If you want to get involved, get involved. All you have to do is say, hey, like I want to help. And then we'll try our best to enable you. Cause I'm on the community engagement committee in a limited capacity because I'm super busy. And that's really important. Like I was dedicated my whole life to being involved in the things that I'm passionate about. that's why I'm involved with this. That's why we're doing this.
Yep.
It's super important. And I want to make one last point. Like these people, like it seems like the people, like the anti-bike people, are the same kind of people who, again, we're talking about inclusivity and diversity, and there is like a systemic geographic border for usage of trails for everyone around the bay. It's all nice property. It's all expensive. If you're low income, if you live in the city and you want to get into nature, it's kind of hard to get there, right? And that place is vitally important for you and me to get in that space where, like, you know, you're only like a quarter mile from the city, like from buildings, but like all of a sudden you're down in the bay, you're down you're in nature. It seems like you're secluded, and that does something to the psyche that just like calms the nerves, right?
So how do we get more people to do that?
There are so many people that don't know they need that. And, you know, maybe this is probably outside of this plan, but like maybe the Reconnect Rochester people having ways to connect the inner city neighborhoods to ride their bikes or whatever, to get to trails, to go for the hike could be transformative for a lot of people that don't even realize it's on the table yet, because there's such a geographic and like systemic border for them to even get there.
Yeah.
Right. So that I just wanted to put that out there, because I've seen what happens to kids when they get access to skateboarding or BMX or scootering, especially if they're coming from, you know, I don't want to use the term broken homes, but like it could be rough at home and then all of a sudden you got your skateboard, right? Yeah. That's one version of it. But also getting out in the peace and quiet of nature where things are just like, that just takes such a load off your back, off your chest. So we need to give that to more people, right? That's my little stand on a tree stump or whatever they call it and give him my pitch or whatever, right? So follow GROC on the gram. If you want to support, reach out. If you want to support with your time, if you want to reach out and support with your pocketbook, you can go to the IMBA's website and sign up to be a GROC.
Go right to our website. You can sign up.
There's
to be
different
a member.
tiers you could pay for, and that gets money to send directly to GROC for trail work and all sorts of stuff. Follow GROC for there's events coming up. Victor Bike Fest and
This
Dryer
weekend
Road Taco
up.
Tuesday. There's all kinds of stuff. Like there's so much going on. It's a whole world that maybe you're not aware of, but hopefully this got you aware of it. And Rob, thanks for coming in and letting us know about the Irondequoit Bay Park System Trail User Study and Interactive Map. Go put your feedback in. And yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll see you on the trails sometime. All right.
If I see you first.
Yeah. All right.